What's going on, Rebel fans, and welcome back to another Runnin with the Rebel shows with your host, Rafael Gonzalez. And so we're going to switch it up this week. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, who's been tuning in and watching the video, showing some love with the subscribes. And as always, if you guys are enjoying it and you do like the content, hit the subscribe button, right? And a like goes a long way as well, too. But welcome back. This week, we're switching up a little bit. Instead of the day after report, I waited a little bit just so we have some content midweek since we don't have a game this week. And I'm gonna call it the bye update or something like that. So yeah. So we have a bye week this week. We're off next week. I messed up the first video that I did, honestly, and so we're re-recording here again. But no, what a crazy game! What a crazy game! Last game that we had against Miami of Ohio, we were down 14 points multiple times in the game, 3 times to be exact, if I'm not mistaken. Offensively, we sputtered in the first half. We picked it up in the second half, like it seems like the offense always does. The offense always seems to have a good enough half where we're always putting up at least 30-something points a game. In UCLA, it was the first half where we put 30 points in the first half and then only scored 1 touchdown in the second half. This week, it was the second half where we picked it up offensively. And they always seem to be able to find ways to score points and put points on the board. 7 points this week was from Morris Brown with the pick 6, so that did help a little bit. Or else we'd be going in 14-3. Not 14. We were down. We only had 10 points in the first half, and we were down 24 to 10, if I'm not mistaken. I said 14-3, but we were down 14-3 initially. Morris Brown gets the pick 6, goes back, and ends up being 14-10 at that point. They end up getting, I think, 10 more points in that half. We were only down 4 at that point. I believe the halftime score was like 24-10. That was the second time that we were down 14 at that point of the game. But yeah, offensively really struggled last game. Only put up 3 points in the first half. And but like I said, they always seem to find a way to come and put 30 points on the board one way or another. Anthony Calandra came out in the second half, really showed his stuff, and really helped us get back into that game. But defensively is still kind of what concerns me. We gave up 304 yards in the first half of that game, and if it's not for Daquan Cook going down, which I hope he's okay moving forward in the season, but they probably put 400 to 500 yards up on us, and I think they still did put 400 yards, just over 400 yards, but I think they get a lot more yardage is what I'm trying to say here. If Daquan Cook doesn't get hurt in that situation. I don't think we really, went out to hurt him. I think what messed him up was when he jumped on that tackle, kind of messed him up. Hopefully he's okay. But yeah, concerning to me, like I said, and as you can see, it's a little bit different format. I'm a lot smaller here. I know if you guys can see me in the corner here, but I'm a lot smaller because I want to show you guys just how much yardage that we're giving up per game that is really concerning to me as a defense. So defensively, like you can tell in the last game, we are very opportunistic in nature, and we had some big turnovers and some key moments that kept us in the game, and it seems to be like that every single game, and I'm going to show you guys here moving forward. But this is total team defense, yardage given up a game, and we are at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to defensively. We give up a ton of yards a game, a ton of yards a game. It doesn't seem Paul Guenther really makes any kind of adjustments with his defense. Maybe that's just me, in my opinion. If you guys seen any kind of like adjustments or things that they've done differently, from like first half to second half, from game to game, please let me know, because it kind of just seems like the same thing every single time. And it's a real concern to me. We're 118th in total yards given up a game. And there's only a few teams, only, three handfuls of teams that are really worse than us when it comes up to yards given up a game. And this, to me, means that we're going to have to score 30 to 40 points a game every single game if we want to win games, if we continue to give up this amount of yardage. Right. And the reason that we're able to win these games and the defense makes up for it in the small aspect is because of the total turnovers that we're getting a game. Like I said, we're very opportunistic in nature when it comes to turnovers. As you can see, turnovers gained. If I go to turnovers gained, Rebels are sitting first in the nation at turnovers gained. We're very opportunistic in that nature. A lot of it, the majority of it, is Marcel McDuffie. He had the interception against Idaho State. He had another interception yesterday on the botched field goal attempt, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And he got the fumble recovery that Jaheim Joseph made a great play on. Jaheim Joseph, seeing that the running back was kind of running loose with the ball, he kind of, when he made his tackle, made sure that he put a punch onto the ball as he was trying to wrap up. He was able to hit the ball directly, and it fell out. Marcel McDuffie had the had the awareness to hop on that ball. It looked like the quarterback or one of the wide receivers for them was right there. And Marcel McDuffie almost springboarded over the top of him to get that ball in that recovery, right? And so we're very opportunistic, and this is what's helping us win games. But eventually, there's going to be a team that understands that we get a lot of turnovers a game, and they're going to practice ball security. And when we don't get those turnovers in these games, right, and when we get only 0 or 1 turnover in a game, are we going to be able to win these games, right? You know, maybe not even 1 turnover, right? If we get 0 turnovers right in a game, and the other team just practice not making the risky throw, practices ball security, running with the ball, and things in that nature, are we going to be able to win those games? I don't know. I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? It's a big concern for me. I think it should be a big concern for the Rebels and learning how to try to either fix something schematically or make some kind of adjustment defensively where we're not giving up as much yards as we're giving up right now. I don't know if it's something that could be fixed. We've played 4 games in the season already, and it kind of seems to be the same thing every week after week, right? We say we're making adjustments, we say we're working on things, but every week we come out defensively, it kind of seems like we give up a bunch of yards. The only game where we really didn't give up a bunch of yards is the Sam Houston State game. I think that's the only game that we didn't give up 400 yards of offense, but they still got like 300 and something. But granted, it was 2 plays on 4th and 1 where we gave up like a 50 and a 60-yard run or whatever the case may be. And if you don't give up both of those, we probably keep them into the 200s, right, under 300 yards. And that's what we're going to have to do if we want to win games moving forward in the Mountain West. I think teams are going to recognize that we are an opportunistic team, that we look for the turnovers and the fumbles, right? And they're gonna practice ball security. They're gonna practice not throwing the risky throws, right? And just getting rid of the ball or taking a sack or whatever the case may be, right? But we're not gonna get those turnovers moving forward. If that's the case, sacks is another thing that's to me, right? Amaris Brown's your leader in sacks. I don't think a DB should be leading sacks 4 games into the season. That's just my opinion. You know, Amaris Brown's playing great. Don't get me wrong, but I think one of the linemen or linebacker probably should have sack leadership. So that to me is a problem with how much Gunther blitzes. I think he blitzes quite a bit from what I see in watching games. And so I think we need to fix something defensively moving forward here because that could be a very big problem for us. And yeah, offensively, we seem to be okay. We just need to put a full 4 quarters together and we should be all right, right? If we play up against a good defensive team, though, and they hold us to under 30 points a game, right, and kind of shut down the big plays from us offensively and shut down Calandria somehow, right, we're in big trouble defensively because it does not seem like we can stop anybody from moving the ball on us, right, for how much yardage that we give up. And that's a big, big concern to me. Hopefully that gets shored up. No one really asked about this in the press conference. No one really said, hey, we're giving up a lot of yardage. I just really don't like the way our press is. If I'm going to be honest, I was watching the last press conference. I watched them all, but watching the last press conference, there was nothing stated about, you know, how many yards we gave up in the first half. 304 yards given up to Miami of Ohio in the first half. That's a big concern to me. Like I said, if Daquan Cook doesn't get hurt in that game, they probably go for 500 plus yards on us, maybe, right? Who knows? Because he can run the ball as well too. You know, and so something needs to change defensively when it comes to like how we scheme because the yardage that we're giving up is crazy amount of yards. Now we are very opportunistic. Like I said, we're first in turnovers gained in the nation, right? So we're very opportunistic when it comes. And like I said, 4 of that's from Amaris Brown. He's got 2 pick sixes, 4 interceptions overall. 2 of those are from Marcel McDuffie with 2 interceptions. Jaheim Joseph got the fumble. Forced fumble this last game. Marcel McDuffie recovered that one too, though, right? So that's 3 turnovers. 3 turnovers from Marcel McDuffie, basically that he was involved in. 4 turnovers from Morris Brown that basically he was involved in, right? So most of it's coming from just them 2 alone. So if those 2 don't get an interception, don't get a fumble recovery, whatever the case may be going in the game, how are we going to stop people? How are we going to stop them from scoring, right? We have to keep putting up 38 points to win, you know, by 7, by 3, 41 points to win by 3, 38 points to win by 7. You know what I'm saying? And that's a concern to me. The defense needs to step up and not give up those big plays. I don't know if it's a schematic thing, which I think it is. If I had to guess one way or the other, I think it is, right? I think Paul Gunther is used to like pro style defense, things like that. And he's got these kids in situations where, because like even in the first half of that game, it wasn't like Daquan Cook was cooking us because of like spectacular throws or anything like that. It was extreme blown coverages 2 times where guys are just left like wide open, like wide open, 10, 15 yards wide open, right? And that's something that we really got to shore up communication wise, scheme wise, whatever the case may be. We got to clean that up if we want to have success moving forward here in conference play, because it's going to be a lot more difficult moving into conference play, in my personal opinion. I saw someone say that Miami of Ohio is the best defense that we play. I don't think that to be true. I think Wyoming's had a better defense than Miami of Ohio. I think New Mexico's got a better defense than Miami of Ohio, in my personal opinion. Those games are going to be a lot tougher, in my opinion, for our offense to score points and put points on the board, and our defense is going to have to step up those games if we want to succeed in those games. Just my personal opinion. This next game is going to be tough. Like I said, Wyoming's defense, probably one of the better defenses that we faced this year, in my personal opinion. I know Colorado got 37 on them last game. I know Utah scored 30-something on them the previous week, right? But I think their defense is better than anything that we faced this year so far, right? And you take on that note the altitude that we're going to be playing in Wyoming. It's going to be very difficult for us. That's a huge altitude difference from Vegas to Wyoming Stadium. Wyoming Stadium is the highest stadium in the country, if I'm not mistaken, at like almost 8,000 feet, 7,600 something, I believe, something to that extent. Very, very high up in altitude. There's altitude sickness that you're going to have to be dealing with some cases, because some people don't acclimate well with altitude. I took my son to the altitude one time. He got altitude sickness. So what's to say that some of our players might not feel that, especially if we don't leave early for that game and we only go like the day before or the night before, whatever the case may be. I think that's going to be tough. The altitude in general, just working out in general, is a lot harder on your body. It's a lot harder for you to breathe. The O2 levels are not as rich, right? And so it's a lot more difficult to get those deep breaths, especially when you're working out extremely hard in that kind of altitude. And I know somebody did ask it in the press. I haven't been really impressed with our press lately. There's really no difficult questions being asked, or no insight. Like there's no questions asked if Jed is hurt. Why isn't he getting so many touches? This is a guy who was like preseason Mountain West Conference, offensive player of the year. He's only getting 10 touches a game. Right? There's no hey, coach, the defense is 118th in the nation in yards allowed. Is this a concern to you? Right? What are you guys doing to change this? Are you guys doing anything differently schematically? Are you guys doing anything different, right? Anything wise, right? Communication wise, anything to help not give up so many yards. There's no questions like that. There's 3 questions about crumble cookie, because coach, gave them some crumble cookie on the flight home, right? To me, I don't know. The press needs to do a little bit better in that regard. That's just me. We're just ranting though. But we need to shore up something defensively moving forward if we want to have chance to play for a Mountain West Conference championship, in my opinion. It's a real concern for me. If we don't get these turnovers, like I've stated here, right? How are we going to stop these teams, right? Because like I said, Miami of Ohio was driving that last drive, and Jaheim Joseph, with the awareness to see that the ball is kind of hanging out loose, and he punches that ball and makes a great kind of wrap-up tackle while also making a punch on the ball, and he knocks that ball loose. Marcel McDuffie with the great awareness, right? Even though there's a couple of Miami of Ohio players that looked like they were closer to the ball to be able to springboard on that ball. It almost looked like he springboarded off one of the Miami of Ohio players, right? And get that fumble recovery, If that doesn't happen, right? If that running back is practicing ball security and he's keeping it tight to his chest, or even putting 2 arms on it as he runs, right? They win that game. I think they go down and they score on us because of all the yardage that we give up, right? We weren't stopping them that last drive. They were just doing that RPO or that little hold option run where the quarterback keeps it in the chest of the running back. He decides if the inside gap, right? The inside gap is open. If he does, he lets it go and gives it to the running back, or he keeps it himself, right? We weren't gap sound in that a lot of the times, and they were breaking on that last drive just by running the ball. Big plays. At the end of the game too, right? We do the squib kick. to the 35-yard line, and the defense allows like a 35. It was like a 30. They were on the 35, and they got to like the 40 of ours, right? And so that right there is like a 25-yard, almost 30-yard pass, right? That we allowed, and to get them into field goal range to even tie it up, even in the OT. So not only do we get the big fumble, right? That they possibly get the go-ahead touchdown there. If they get that, we still would have had a chance to come down and score the field goal like we did, right? Or a touchdown. But then we give up a big play, right? All you need is, there's 11 seconds on the clock. All you need is one stop, right? One stop, or give up a short pass. But if it's a long pass like that, there has to be some kind of contention for the ball, in my opinion, a pass deflection in that instance, right? Because if you get it, then they have to go for a Hail Mary, whatever the case may be, right? But we just give up a lot of yards, and that to me is very, very concerning moving forward. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. The altitude, like I said earlier, I think it's going to be a problem going into next week. We have a bye week this week, so we kind of have a little bit of break from Rebel football this week. Unfortunately, I love watching the Rebels play, but the bye week might be good for them. It really wasn't helpful. It didn't really look like it was helpful before the Miami of Ohio game. So hopefully that changes, and we're a little bit more prepared with this Wyoming game going into Wyoming, because I think it's going to be a lot more difficult game, in my personal opinion. Their offense isn't as good, so hopefully the hope is for me that we can shore up our yardage given up from offense that isn't very good, and our offense can still put up the points on a better defense that I think one of the better defenses that we'll face this year. And we have kind of our first full complete game, but then the opposite effect is I'm really nervous that our defense is going to give up a ton of yards to an offense that isn't really very good, and then if that's the case and they get on the board and they score a couple times and have a little bit momentum, who knows what kind of game that plays out to be. And so moving forward here, this is a huge concern for me. Not the turnovers gained, but the total defensive yards given up is a big concern for me. And so it's something that we do have to figure out. Just want to go back to it real quick. Let me see if I can find it. I had it up here earlier. But we definitely need to total defense here, and we got to click on page 3. That's really bad in my opinion. I don't know if you guys can see right next to me to the right over to my right, but it's the left over here is 118. We're sitting at 118, and like I said, 427, almost 428 yards total given up a game. The only game that we didn't give up 400 yards was the Sam Houston game. Like I said, we need to have more games like the Sam Houston game where we kind of shut them down defensively in yards gained for us to have a chance in conference play moving forward. So yeah, I'm moving forward here on the show itself. I might try to put out 2 videos a week. I've been doing that with the preview video and then the day after report. This week we had a bye week, so I'm doing kind of like the bye update report, I guess you might call it, or whatever. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. And that's why I put this one instead of the day after report. I did this a little bit later just because we have a bye week, so that way you guys have some content to kind of fill your Thursday, Friday with, even though we don't have a game coming up. But moving forward, I might put 1 extra video in there, even if it's just a small update on things that I've seen about the team during the week. Maybe something I've seen on X or something like that might have piqued my interest, and maybe I come on and talk about, or whatever the case may be. But I'll try to put out a little bit more consistent videos once every 2 to 3 days, so that way there's like a consistent upload schedule, and we kind of have something to look forward to on this channel every week, whether we have a bye or not. And so after Saturday's games, I might come on and talk about just some of the other Mountain West teams, since we are on a bye week this week and conference play is kind of starting up, kind of what I see moving forward, not just from us, right, but from a perspective of our opponents, right, and who we should be looking out for, what might be a difficult matchup, or whatever the case moving forward. For a perfect example, we have Air Force coming up after the Wyoming game. That offense, I don't think we're going to stop at all, to be honest, with the way our defense has been playing. I think the Air Force offense might run for like 400 plus yards on us offensively, which is a huge concern for me. So hopefully we can figure something out when it comes to defense. It really falls down on Paul Gunther just trying to change something up. I really haven't seen adjustments from him. The defense kind of looks similar the way they played from week to week, from half to half. And so he needs to find something to change up to kind of give us a better chance in these games, in these ball games moving forward. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you enjoy the content, please hit the subscribe button and the like button. It really helps me out for the channel. And if you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. And like I said, if you do hit the dislike button, tell me what I did wrong in the comments below. Tell me what you didn't like about the video, whether it be the information that I might be giving or whatever the case may be, so that way I can try to make the videos better moving forward in the future. Other than that, as always, UNLV, go fight, win. We'll see you guys in a couple days on Saturday, maybe Sunday, after the games this week, and we'll talk about some Mountain West stuff and what I've seen from some of the other teams and whatnot. All right, have a safe weekend, have a fun weekend, everybody, and we'll see you guys in a few days. Peace out.